students with autism spectrum disorder.
Autism spectrum disorder is defined as a lifelong developmental condition which affects the way an individual relates to his or her environment and their interaction with other people.
In 2012, 115,400 people had autism spectrum disorder in Australia. This emphasises the importance of providing professional development, training and resources for schools in Australia to promote quality teaching and learning.
The purpose of this video is to assist pre-service teachers and principals in developing strategies to accommodate the students with autism in the mainstream primary school. Schedules and timers are fundamental tools for children with an autism spectrum disorder. Many children with ASD have limited understanding on the concept of time, what's happening or will happen. Students with ASD also experience difficulties with communication, including difficulty understanding verbal explanations about what is happening for the day. Schedules help reduce these feelings of stress and anxiety and increase the student's opportunity for success by keeping the child included and aware of the day's events.
Miss, what are we doing today? We've already done maths already. I don't know what we're doing next.
Thank you for reminding me, Laura. I forgot to finish our visual schedule for today. So once we've completed maths, we're going to move on to literacy. And that will run from 10 a.m. until 10:45 a.m. Once we've done that, it's recess. Once we get back from recess, we'll be doing science from 11:15 to 11:45. After science, we will be doing art. And then it's everyone's favourite time, lunchtime. And after lunch, we've got silent reading. And to finish up the day, I thought I'd take us out for a game of sport. And that's our visual schedule for today. There are 3 commonly used schedules in the classroom. These include a general daily classroom schedule, an individual work schedule, and sequence charts or daily routine. There are various ways these schedules can be portrayed. However, seeing as most students with ASD are visual learners, they will benefit from teachers including visual resources wherever possible. Specifically, a visual schedule tells the students the sequence of upcoming events through a variety of visual ways. These may include objects, photographs, icons, words, or a combination of all of these. The visual schedule tells the student when and where the student should be. Visual schedules are extremely effective communicating messages and providing meaning to students with ASD. Students with ASD typically have difficulty decoding and processing lengthy verbal requests, and if the information is forgotten, there is no concrete system for the student to refer to. This is where visual schedules play an important role. It assists with the comprehension of the instructions, provides another channel for learning, and are easily accessible for students should they need to be reminded of the day's events. As well as this, visual schedules give students with ASD more independence. By using the visual schedule, teachers aren't required to physically move or deliver instructions to the student. Rather, the student can look to the aid of the visual schedule and have the confidence to move on to the next activity. It increases the likelihood of students becoming engaged with the activity.
Each of us are educators of the future. We can all make simple changes to cater for the needs of students with autism, especially in the learning environment. The classroom environment significantly impacts the quality of learning for students with autism spectrum disorder. A study by the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development in 2009 revealed that the classroom environment is one of the most important predictors of student achievement. It can also impact student engagement, behaviours and comfort in the classroom. According to the Queensland Department of Education and Training, it is therefore vital that teachers consider the physical, sensory and social learning environment when accommodating for students with autism in mainstream primary schools. To do this, teachers must understand individual learning needs, sensory needs and behaviours of the ASD student. To create a positive and quality learning environment, teachers must consider the seating arrangement, sensory material available for the students, limiting distractions in the classroom, and the lighting, temperature and sound of the classroom. When designing the seating arrangements of your classroom or for an ASD student, you must consider classroom and group arrangement, student sitting skills, and positioning of the student's seat. As you can see on the poplet, in the far left corner, there are some diagrams of different classroom layouts. These are from the Ministry of Education, New Zealand. These are some great examples of classroom layouts that you can incorporate in your classroom. Another thing to consider is the type of seating and the student's sitting skills. Would the student benefit sitting on the floor more? Are there any other seats suitable for the student to use? As you can see on the poplet, there are some modular seats, sensory beanbags, and some rump ball chairs. These are some great resources that you can use in your classroom. Another factor to consider is who is the student sitting next to you. Can the students support each other's learning? Are they cooperative learners together? Will the students trigger distractions? Is the student sitting near distractions, such as windows or noise? These are important factors to consider when catering for a student with ASD. Lighting, temperature and sound can also affect the quality of learning for a student with ASD. You may consider the natural lighting in the classroom. How can you minimise the glare? Is the student seated near natural light? Are temperatures at a suitable level? How could you change the temperature in the classroom? Where are the sources of noise in the classroom? How can these be eliminated? Can the student clearly hear the teacher? These are all.
It is important to limit distractions for a student with ASD in the classroom. For example, is the student near a source of noise? A window, a doorway or a hallway? Or is the student distracted by assistive technologies like a phone, laptop or iPad? Is there too much visual and auditory stimuli in the classroom? How can we minimise this and limit distractions? As you can see, we have accommodated for the students with autism spectrum disorder learning needs by minimising all distractions in the classroom. The student now sits away from the window. This removes all sources of noise that may distract the student. We have also reduced the stimuli in the classroom. There is only 2 pieces of stimuli on the board. This avoids confusion of the student. We have also removed assistive technologies for the student. The student only has one assistive technology to use and focus on.
When designing your classroom, some prompts that you may consider could be: are there auditory, tactile and visual sensory materials in the classroom? What are the ASD students' sensory needs? Are you fulfilling their sensory needs? As you can see on the poplet, there are a number of visual, tactile and auditory resources you can use. For example, an auditory resource may be sound cylinders. In considering the seating arrangements, sensory needs, distractions, and lighting, temperature and sound, a teacher can design a classroom environment that caters to the individual needs of the student with ASD and encourage quality learning engagement and comfort.
Oral language is used in the classroom every single day all over the world. However, there is a problem with the way that we communicate. This simplest form of communication, once said, does no longer exist, which can pose a problem for students, especially students with autism who require more time and have trouble processing language efficiently. Vygotsky highlights the need to explore what students already know and what they are trying to learn. The theory suggests that reinforcing information will efficiently increase a student's ability to be able to learn and retain new information. Visual scaffolding is a strategy that can be used by teachers to embed Vygotsky's understandings and provide a sustained visual prompts for autistic students and also students throughout the class. This strategy can be used for all students, but it is particularly helpful for students with autism. Students with autism will demonstrate characteristics that suggest a tendency to focus intensely on schedules. They can sometimes develop special bonds with objects, and this behaviour can somewhat become obsessive. When students demonstrate these traits within the classroom, the teacher can use visual scaffolding to provide them with a more predictable learning environment. Students with autism can have many defects in their communication. And this could be understanding communication, maintaining it, sustaining it, effectively initiating appropriate verbal conversation could be next to impossible. Students who are autistic respond to visual stimulus because they are visual learners, as they do not understand communication and they have trouble communicating themselves. If visual cues are provided, this contrasts with oral language because it is a sustained piece of information. It can be referred back to over significant periods of time for clarification. Visual scaffolding can be anything from providing images with content or having physical objects around the classroom for students to use. A visual cue that is widely used throughout schools today is having a schedule on a student's desk. This assists the student to let them know what's happening during the day and also to let them know what their peers are doing. This caters for their needs to have an efficiently structured environment in which they can learn. Another example of visual scaffolding is behaviour identification cards. Students with autism can also be affected by many other disabilities, for example ADHD. The behaviour identification cards are designed to allow the students to demonstrate how they are feeling using a visual representation, for example a symbol or hand gesture. Also, allows the students to consider their feelings and make informed decisions before acting. It is also important that the teachers understand the symbols to work effectively with the student with autism in the class and also in the playground. The students need to have access to visual stimulus throughout the classroom. This might be an image accompanying some speech or an inclusion of ICT throughout classroom practices. When pairing auditory and visual input, the students will have the best chance to learn new concepts and gain understanding of content.
This group assignment has assisted in developing instructional methods and strategies specific to students with autism spectrum disorder. As recognised at the beginning of the video, there is a high prevalence of autism in Australia. It is therefore vital that as a future educator, I am involved in professional development and training to cater for the diverse needs of students with autism.
Throughout this assignment, I have learned a lot about students with autism and also visual scaffolding. Visual scaffolding is not only something that should be available for students with autism, but also for students without autism. Every child will have their own individual learning needs. And as a student myself, I find that I learn better with visuals. I will always be looking for a visual to help me understand content. I will be drawing mind maps to help me pull apart content and analyse it.
In reflection, this collaborative assignment has enabled me to gain a wealth of knowledge on a subject matter I was not familiar with beforehand. In my experience as a pre-service teacher and as a future educator, I know I will come across students with ASD, and I want to be equipped with the best tools and strategies to give these students the best learning experience possible. Teaching is a collaborative and sharing profession. By working with two other colleagues, my knowledge has been encompassed in a way that may not have been possible working individually. It has been a thoroughly enjoyable experience, and I hope I have many opportunities to continue working collaborative in the future.